Thank you for clicking on my video. In today's video, I'll be taking on the daunting task of reviewing the most popular and influential Resident Evil game, RE4 OG. Not to put myself down, but there are many way better reviews than mine, and I'll link some in the description. You can just search up Resident Evil 4 review on YouTube and I'm pretty sure some top-notch ones will appear. Anyway, I'll be covering Resident Evil 4 OG's gameplay, discussing its influence and impact on the gaming industry and community, the story and noteworthy characters, the graphics and art style of course, and the save themes and overall OST. Please hype and like the video and subscribe so that more people can see my hopefully decent attempt at reviewing greatness. Now, let's do this. Let's start with a summary of my sentiments towards the game. I think the village and castle are top tier areas when compared to others in the franchise. Leon aesthetically, personality wise, and face card wise and voice acting wise is peak in RE4 OG. The gunplay, knife play and combat moves of Leon combined with the great and engaging levels are what keeps RE fans coming back for more even decades later. Ashley, gameplay wise, is annoying until you get really good at the game and know how to deal/position her in certain rooms efficiently and effectively. Character wise, she's literally going through a traumatizing, life-changing experience, so I'll cut her some slack for her somewhat annoying character tendencies. The story is wacky and wild overall, but there's a lot of heart and good messages regarding heroism, perseverance, and the hope for a day where we aren't so polarized and can discuss and debate any topic without it leading to violence or terror. So I appreciate the story for what it is, but it's not the best written story in the world. I love the similarities between the art style of RE4 OG and Devil May Cry. I greatly appreciate the European Gothic horror style in the castle. The village, consumed in a brown motif, has an art direction that has the typical yet unnerving presence that reflects how the ganados look normal at first, but when you take a closer look, there's evil lurking beneath. Serenity. The save theme and the other typewriter theme are in my top 10 save themes in the franchise for sure. What a vibe. I love hearing notes from that one theme in Devil May Cry 1 in Serenity. I think I can speak for a lot of fans of the OG when I say if I can listen to a 10-hour loop of Serenity whilst relaxing or doing some low effort tasks, I would. Peak ambient music in my opinion. Right, let's go into my in-depth notes about this cultural reset for gaming. Let's talk about the main gameplay loop. Aim for an enemy's head to stun them in 1 or 2 shots, run up and kick, roundhouse kick or suplex them. Alternatively, run up to an enemy and knife their head to stun them before they can get an attack in, and then kick, roundhouse kick or suplex them. Let's go through each chapter and discuss their strengths, things I like, and weaknesses, things I dislike gameplay wise. Chapter 1-1, a stellar intro to convey to players the long, bumpy ride they are going to be in for. The village siege section is truly iconic and honestly could act as the perfect minigame. Oh wait, I forgot about the mercenaries. I'm not going to talk about the mercenaries in this video. I'll either make a separate video or do a video where I review and rank all of the mercenaries games in the franchise. Anyway, back to chapter 1-1. This chapter lets you know that this is a gameplay focused, optionally combat heavy game, and I love it. Dr. Salvador's introduction would have terrified me as a kid, but I was way too young to play a game like Resident Evil 4 in 2005. I was playing games like Crash Bash, Crash Team Racing, and Buster Groove. I typically run around the village for 4 minutes, having the whole town on my back. It creeps me out, but I know I can safely avoid damage this way until the timer runs out. My only gripe with this chapter is the QTE boulder section. I'm so glad there is a skip for it, but I struggle with getting the positioning right for it at times, so I typically still have to button mash my fingers into A and E just to avoid an instant deletion by the imminent boulder. Chapter 1-2. I love how as soon as you get out of the building you were locked up in, there's a little cracked spot next to the oncoming room's door which is perfect for a sniper rifle. Now if you've got a sharp eye and you want to visit the merchant, given that he just introduced himself, putting 2 and 2 together, you can purchase the bolt action sniper rifle and safely dispatch the ganados from afar. Or you can go guns blazing and brute force your way through the 2 pieces of a medallion to unlock the locked door onslaught room. Much like the world and an oyster, the choice is yours. Del Lago, you frustrating boss. I hate that it can regenerate health when it dives. I wish I was a better speedrunner at this game because I believe you can one cycle Del Lago, or that might just be in the remake. Either way, it's an intense experience that further exemplifies the shift towards action-heavy survival horror and away from slow burn classic survival horror. I hate the QTE at the end of the boss fight though. You know, it's like Capcom said, we're gonna do jump scares but make them interactive. Every time QTEs pop up on the screen, I literally get jump scared because I have to jump into action while being scared not to lose if I'm not fast enough. I hope that made sense and doesn't sound like I'm waffling. Chapter 2-1. El Gigante ain't too much for Leon and that doggy. The one he saved near the start of the game, which makes this fight feel so sweet and more heroic because not only are you in a David and Goliath situation, but also you get help from a doggy, and I think that most players want to keep that precious pup safe and sound. Chapter 2-2, the infamous cabin level with my beloved Lewis. Yeah, this section is annoying as hell and professional if you don't know what you're doing. It's a fun and enthralling level that pushes the player to the limit earlier on in the game's runtime. Chapter 2-3. I also love the optional pathways to unlock the final area of the village, and that you can complete both areas to access all treasures as well. I typically choose El Gigante pathway over the Bella Sisters pathway because it's easier to run straight through on the former, which I'm sure you guys can agree to be the case in your own playthroughs. I love the gondola gauntlet section. It's a little tricky but mostly fun to play and knock those pesky ganados off their individual gondolas. Big cheese, more like big lose. That boss fight is easy when you've got 4 to 5 incendiary grenades. I like my cheese grilled or held because I'm actually lactose intolerant, but you get the vibe I'm trying to go for, right?
Spider Cat. Guys, am I that cringy though? Like, it can't. Who said yeah?
Leon and his one-liners. I know my one-liners probably don't hit because I'm not like this cool guy with a great body, great voice and heroic capabilities. I'm just a girl, let me live a little. Alright. Chapter 3-1. The chapter that tortures you with the catapult onslaught and the water hell, hall. The Garradors are a great enemy addition because they keep the players on their toes literally. Sound is the name of the game with Garradors. Us Resident Evil 4 fans must be on something because how do we come back to this game time and time again knowing that the water room exists? You know a game is goated when players will repeatedly play it despite having a section that is arguably so insufferable you lose the urge to play it. Like poison areas in Souls games, no shade. Chapter 3-2. I'm gonna attempt to pronounce it the Spanish way. Novistadors. I'm learning multiple languages and I still can't get over the fact that B and V are pronounced the same, so like B in Spanish. It's mind-boggling to me, but hola to my Spanish-speaking viewers out there. Let me know if my pronunciation was good or cringe. Let me guess, cringe, right? Anyway, that room with the red zealot who you have to chase and delete before he gets to the turret thingy-mabob is a parasite on this chapter. I can't stand him. Yes, it is arguably a skill issue, but the room and the way it's designed to give the zealot plenty of hiding space is criminal. The maze is a mixed bag for me. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. Whenever I see colmillos, it's on sight. Alright. Chapter 3-3. The room after the Garrador trap is a little annoying, but I love the fact that you get a free RPG and ammo restock. When I lock in with the aiming, the covering Ashley section is not too daunting. Chapter 3-4. I don't hate Ashley's section because I find it easy. Sometimes I forget the puzzle solution, though, but I don't mind it. I find taking ages to figure it out rather relaxing than anger or stress-inducing. Her falling over every time when an armadura attempts to strike feels like padding of the gameplay to me, but hey, maybe that's just me. I appreciate that there are optional backtracking moments with Ashley to get access to the broken butterfly and other goodies, for example. At last, access to the striker. I can dip and glitch my way to victory. This has to be one of the greatest glitches of all time. I wish you could dip them from the start of the game besides New Game Plus, but that's alright. The double Garador room is demonic. Like...
What more do you want from me?
Verdugo's optional boss fight is really cool because it's dynamic. You can run around avoiding him for 3-ish minutes, or you can RPG that sucker into a million ice cubes provided you knock down a nitrogen tank in front of that annoying executioner. The dynamite Dr. Salvador room is a piece of cake when Dipman Glitch is equipped. I skedaddle out of that room faster than you can say, skeet a skeeted sheepishly 5 times fast. Double El Gigante Extravaganza. I always found it funny that the Dipman glitch can help you skip this boss fight. I typically do the boss fight still because I like the challenge. Stinking Novistadors make a smelly return and I'm not here for it. Hate them, hate them, hate them. The only thing they're good for is an epic kick from Leon Scott himself. I don't love the crushing boulders bit, but I'll allow it since I believe it's the only time they appear in the game. Chapter 4, Minecart Mayhem. It's a decent chapter. I kind of wish there was a minecart minigame similar to the mercenaries in this game and implemented in a variety of ways in other RE titles. There's an idea for you, Capcom. Chapter 4-4. The lift gauntlet is a cool idea, but not my favourite due to the cramped space and lack of breathing room. It's a fun challenge though and keeps you on your toes as you ascend to the top of the tower. The end of Ramon Salazar. I typically use the broken butterfly and RPG 1-2 combo to dispatch him in a timely manner. I like the boss arena, but I find the type 3 spider plagas to be annoying to navigate around, but that's just a nitpick. Chapter 5-1. This chapter be like survival horror? Never heard of it. I only know of action adventure. I understand Leon has made it to a military island, but from this chapter onwards, the level design loses the plot and disregards action horror for action adventure, besides the generators of course. I think the introduction of the regenerators is a masterclass in creeping out a player. When you first see one sleeping in the lab, common gamer sense tells you that eventually, that monstrosity is going to get up. It's possible the developers, being gamers themselves, decided to create an enemy introduction that screams, expect the unexpected. The scariest things hide in plain sight. I love the infrared scope for the sniper rifles mechanic. Such a cool touch by the developers. Just another example of how the combination of great gameplay mechanics with well-crafted, for the most part, level design puts this game in the goated games category. Chapter 5-2. I hate the crane room with that big spherical rock with a passion. I like the Ashley truck driving on rail segment. I don't appreciate the part where Leon has to get off the truck to press 2 buttons or something like that, maybe 1, and interact with the soldier ganados. Chapter 5-3. The laser room made me stop hating QTEs for like 1 whole minute because they let me facilitate Leon's impossible athleticism and hotness. Back-to-back boss fights is the scariest thing about this chapter in my opinion. It, aka U3 and Jack, I'm American, Krauser. With U3, the first half where you're trying to escape the suspended container thingy-mabob is actually stressful and a unique horror experience to me. The second half where U3 turns into the Scorpion King is still creepy, but at that point I'm just like, eat an RPG sucker cause I'm tired of you. You get me? Then Krauser's Extreme Battle Tournament occurs. I like the last section of it because you can cook his goose in like 20 seconds with the knife. The other sections are fine and keep you on your toes, but I think the last part is the most challenging and enthralling. Chapter 5-4. Mike, R.I.P. King, you were a real one. I personally don't drink, but I'd still sit with Leon and you for a beer just to hear you guys share stories about previous missions and biohazardous ordeals. Despite my sentiments towards Waterhall, that one room in Chapter 5-4 can sometimes kill my motivation to finish the game. I know it's a skill issue, but I just hate this room. Too many armed enemies and Warzone vibes going on. No bueno, not a fan. Final chapter. I used to find Sadler's boss fight very tricky because of the unsteadiness of the laser sight and his eyes closing too fast. Then I discovered that the TMP is really great for dealing with this predicament. I like the arena, but I don't like the temporary bridges. I find it more annoying and repetitive, especially with the QTE escape feature for the bridges. The music is cool and matches the vibe of the boss fight and the climax of the game. It's an alright final boss. Not necessarily peak, but it's a good enough send-off for Osman Senior Moment Sadala. I have a few issues with the island's gameplay. Soldier ganados with guns and bow and arrow guns are even more annoying. JJ the minigun beret wearing big back ganado.
Really tired. I'm so tired, child. I'm so tired. I'm really tired.
I feel like it's not controversial to say this, but if the island was cut by a third or even a half, a lot of fans who replay RE4 OG repeatedly wouldn't complain. I wish you could move while shooting, but I understand why the developers didn't include it, to keep some aspects of horror and tension within the gameplay loop. Separate Ways. I played the original Separate Ways campaign a long time ago and did not have fond memories of it, so I decided not to include it in this review. At the very least, I will say I remember Ada's kick animation being cool, if not cooler than Leon's, just based off the fact that Ada does her martial arts moves in a dress and stilettos, and of course the voice acting is stellar. If you guys want me to, I'll do a Separate Ways separate video for the channel. So it's time for a discussion on RE4 OG's impact on the gaming industry. I read 2 articles from 2 websites, horrorobsessive.com and relyonhorror.com, respectively. I just want to explore some quotes from their articles regarding RE4 OG's influence on gaming and the industry over time. Suddenly, every major release had QTEs that were meant to immerse the player in the world, but in actuality only serve as arbitrary roadblocks to progression. QTEs are not the vibe. Yes, they are a good way to induce panic horror, but I think panic horror is best suited in survival horror leaning games as opposed to action horror leaning games. RE4 is undeniably a linear game, but it still offers players a lot of choice in how they tackle objectives thanks to the flexible loadout building and weapon upgrading. This was very well put by the author. It's a great way of explaining why fans of the game can replay it over and over again without boredom inducing in their millionth replay. RE4's influence on the gaming industry. Everyone sought to imitate it, but no one understood what made the game great. I disagree. The team who developed Dead Space 1 and 2 understood what made RE4 great. If we use the analogy of songs, let's say Dead Space's developers sampled the best bits off of the Resident Evil 4 track, and it's recognizable when you hear it, but the instrumental still has its own unique flair and vibe that makes you question if the song is completely new or not. I hope this analogy made sense. Its DNA can be seen throughout the past 10 years of AAA game development. It is a game that was as praised as much as critics as it was condemned by longtime fans of the series. No matter how you feel about it personally, it never fails to get people talking, due to its divisive nature among fans, how it shaped an entire console generation, and its long-lasting impact on survival horror as a whole. This article was originally published in 2015, and it's another decade later since then. Even within Resident Evil 4's own franchise, which it belongs to, every game since RE4's release is, sometimes painfully, inspired by this lightning in a bottle game. The lasting impact RE4 OG has had on survival horror is tragic in the sense that fixed camera angles are way less relevant than first person and third person over the shoulder camera angles since its release. I know RE4 OG technically saved the franchise, but I wish the game was designed like Requiem, where you had the choice between the classic survival horror camera angle, the action horror camera angle, and the modern RE engine camera angles. But not to worry, what's done is done. Onward. The game came out at the very tail end of the 6th generation of consoles, but it felt more next-gen than practically every game out in the first year of the 7th console generation. Things like quick-time events, large scripted special events, and event-style bosses were in gaming prior to Resident Evil 4, but it is certainly the game that popularized these practices. I just wanted to highlight that quote and its historical accuracy because it really exemplifies RE4 OG's influence on modern gaming. I would highly recommend reading both articles completely. So, the story. I'm sure most of you watching this know the story, but if not, there are a few great lore videos I will link in the description box who do a bang up job of it. probably better than I ever could. That being said, I will try my best to discuss the story and its characters without my voice putting you to sleep or clicking off this video if either of those things haven't happened already. So, going from memory, the story goes like this. The US President's daughter in the RE universe in 2004 gets kidnapped by Jack Krauser, a former US Army guy. Mr. Scott trained under Krauser. However, Jack felt betrayed by the US due to the events of Operation Javier. So he started working with Wesker to get Neo Umbrella off the ground. He infiltrated Los Iluminados to get a sample for Wesker, but had to prove his loyalty to the cult by obtaining the first family's daughter. Cut to the start of this game's events in the Spanish village. Leon has been sent on a one-man army extraction mission to quickly get the girl back. Leon quickly realizes that this village and the people from the region are cooked and needs to find Ashley, ASA friggin' P, and themselves out of this Spanish hellhole. Along the journey, Leon encounters luissera, who is a scientist working for Los Iluminados, but realized the error of his ways and wanted out. This is where mother adawong comes in. Adawong, who is working for, rather than with, like in Krauser's case, albertwesker to retrieve a sample from Senor Serra. Luis, Leon and Ashley are infected with a parasite called Plaga, but Luis has a cure. It's just that it's all the way in his lab on the military island. After many hours, Leon reaches Ashley's holding location, a grand church, and escapes from the village to seek refuge in an ominously vast castle.
So where is he now?
He's held captive in an abandoned house located northeast of the village. Until he recovers the sample, we can't let him die.
Leon and Ashley have to navigate
You
through
don't
the
need to
castle
remind me.
cautiously and separately most of the time.
Luis
Leon
Serra.
reunites with, if you recall,
And I
in the
thought
story,
I was
but
high
he doesn't seem
maintenance.
the happiest, probably because she's working with Wesker and she lied to him all those years ago. Luis catches up with Leon to give him and Ash some medicine, but the cult leader, Lord Osmond Sadler, has other plans and presses delete on Lewis's life. What a shame. After some time, Leon and Ashley meet up only to be separated again, and Salazar doesn't hear one satisfying sound of impalement, because Leon's a super agent now with gadgets galore, seemingly inspired by his lady in the red dress perhaps. Leon has to face off against the executioner, Verdugo. Once he clears that revolting alien specimen, he has to go even deeper into the depths of the castle grounds, and then back up and then back down again to the mines, where he rides a cart all the way to a key item needed to unlock a door that brings him a penultimate step closer to the end of the castle segment. Leon has to run to safety from a giant Salazar Gundam Transformer looking monstrosity, and then he reaches the tower. Leon must face off against Salazar and then goes with Ada to the military island after being informed that Ashley has been taken there. Leon and Ashley eventually meet up only to be separated again by Mr. Colt, head of the alleged religious community. Leon navigates through the island and runs into Krauser, and they clash in a QTE battle for the ages. Adawong saves Leon like it's 1998, and Leon keeps chugging on. Leon then has to face Krauser a little later for a rematch. Once Leon and Krauser complete their rehash and Krauser is dealt with, the effects of the Plaga are taking an imminent toll on Leon, so much so that he chokes Ada in an unreal way. He rectifies the situation and it's clear Leon and Ashley need to immediately. Leon reaches Ashley and uses the machine to get the parasite out of her.
How are you feeling?
Thank you, Louise.
Like $1 million.
Last
I thought you were gonna
things to do
die.
are clear that full Sadler,
All right.
escape the military island,
Guess
and
I'm
head
up.
for the US of A. And we get that done, and that's essentially my mini story. How did I brand new Leon and a lighter tone figuratively.
You okay?
Conveys that Capcom was essentially done with the Raccoon-City story, and that the story of this game is going to be starkly different and somehow even wilder than previous
I don't know about
iterations of
you,
Resident Evil. So,
but I
the
think it's
village.
time we go
I
home.
think the village is the best part of the game gameplay-wise. Story-wise, it's a great experience too. One issue I have with the story, particularly in the village, is that Chief Mendez writes notes to his cattle, or ganado, if you will, but leaves notes regarding dealing with Leon in places where Leon is bound to find them and proactively outsmart them. Ramon Salazar's castle. This is my favorite part of the game. gameplay-wise and story-wise. Leon and Ashley get closer, and Ashley gains some more confidence by exploring some of the castle solo to find an escape route to meet up back with Leon. It's not better than the village, though, due to pacing and having novistadors, to say the least. The military island is where the story locks in and you really want to see Leon and Ashley succeed in escaping. The game is quite long, not that I'm complaining. It's a great experience, and once you reach the island, you typically get this feeling of let's just push through because we made it this far, and Leon works for the US government, so his life depends on Ashley's safe return. Let's talk about the main characters. Leonskennedy, the GOAT, the one and only, Mr. Scat, Mr. Stylish, Mr. One-Liner. I'm gonna get hate for this, but I don't find the bingo one-liner funny. I'm happy for people who do though. Leon's one-liners are cringy to me, but I think his cool and hot aura is what lets him get away with it. His combatability and gun skills are top notch. If the president was going to pick anyone to send on a one-man mission to save his daughter, Leonkennedy will always be the right one. Ashley Graham. Leon, help! Listen, we love that Sandy Cheeks and Ashley Graham share the same voice actress, but Ashley can still be annoying at times. I do feel for her though. She's been put in an impossibly stressful situation. A fine hunk of a man is trying to save her, but they keep getting separated. The stress levels are astronomical. Her damsel in distress characterization makes sense, but I also appreciate that it isn't completely boring with that trope. She doesn't just run into Leon's arms when they first meet, and she stands up for herself when Luis initially addresses her. I love that ballistics line though. If I was Ashley, I would have been blushing and quiet. I mean, Luis's face card does not decline, and this is PS2, GameCube, Xbox 360 graphics we're dealing with. I'm a firm believer in art style over graphics. Case in point, Resident Evil 4, and I have to mention it again, but Bloodborne. Luissera, my Spanish king, you saw the error of your ways and tried to seek redemption. Your death was not in vain because you helped save the world in the Resident Evil universe. I wish we got to spend more time with him and not just in notes on the military island. His voice actor has a very nice accent and way of releasing words and phrases from the script. Luis is definitely one of my favorite Resident Evil characters ever. Chief Mendez, aka Big Cheese. Love the voice acting for this character too. He's a tyrant, but I appreciate how he doesn't follow you around the map. I wouldn't have had a problem if that was a game mechanic for him, but I like that he isn't programmed to be another Mr. X or Nemesis enemy. I wish he had more screen time though. His presence in cutscenes and his boss fight is great and could have increased the survival horror aspects of the game. This is going to be a little off the cuff because I forgot to write about him, but the merchant is the GOAT. He's so mysterious. I know he might be Luis's grandfather in the OG timeline. I'm not sure about the remake, but yeah, goated character. Love the leveling up system and just all the stuff you can buy from him. Yeah. Adawong. From the dress to her arsenal of weapons and gadgets, I love the consistency of her portrayal between RE2 and RE4 OG. I can't believe she's working with Wesker again. I wish we got more backstory for her in this game, especially in separate ways. I think it's heartwarming yet heartbreaking that Leon says, "She's like a part of me I can't let go." Being in love with someone can be a beautiful thing, but it can also be earth-shattering every time you think of them, knowing the two of you can never be, or your worlds are too different to make a relationship feasible. Anyhow, Ada is mother. She exhibits mother behavior, she talks like a mother, she dresses like a mother. Mother is mothering. For those who don't know the lingo, Google the phrase, "What does mother mean?" Urban Dictionary.
This is a potential mother.
Ramon Salazar, a short king through and through. I think that the Gundam version of him in chapter 4-4 was him compensating for something. And yes, that was a Shrek reference, by the way.
Oh, that's the place.
Do you think maybe he's compensating for something?
He's hilarious and his voice actor did a great job. It's high-key his fault all of this mess happens. If only he had ignored Mr. Cult Leader and followed in his family's footsteps.
Wow, what a waste. The poor children.
Lord Osman Sadler. His voice actor understood the assignment. He does Creepy, cool, calm, and collected so well with his voice. It's really giving cult leader. Speaking softly and measuredly to lure you in, but can shift in and out of it when he needs to be more controlling. I love his back and forth convos with Leon. I think in another life, Leon and Sadler could have been friends who have great banter and bust each other's balls. I hope I used that phrase right, because I don't think I've ever used that in real life, like ever. I've only heard Americans use it, so my American viewers, let me know if I butchered that phrase or if I did well. Thank you. Jack Krauser. I think Krauser was blinded by rage and betrayal. I think there was still some good in him, but hanging out with Wesker led to the consolidation of his evil side completely taking over. RIP to his voice actor Jim Ward. You did a wonderful job, and your voice embodied the character of Jack Krauser completely. I pray that you're in heaven. Albertwesker. Wesker. I'll say that it's cool that you can play as him in the Mercenaries mode. His working relationship with Ada and Krauser is interesting because I'm sure he's powerful enough to obtain samples of the Plaga on his own. He could have destroyed Sadler in a one-on-one. Alright. The village area 100% gives me Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes, from Dr. Salvador to the chicken and cattle farm area, even Ashley being the blonde southern final girl like the final girl from the OG movie is a great touch. Additionally, the village, which is consumed in a brown motif, has an art direction that has this typical yet unnerving presence that reflects how the ganados look normal at first, but when you take a closer look, there's evil lurking beneath. The brown colour reminds me of the film Blue Velvet, where the seemingly original and ordinary town has much darkness lurking just below its skin. The overwhelming brownness, while dark, hides even darker sights and moments that happened in the village before Leon's arrival. In one of the barns, there is a pile of deleted ganados in some hay, I believe. When you've played the game enough, those deleted ganados tend to blend into the brown hay and the overall brownness of the barn, which reinforces my point about how the brown motif is used in the village. I love the similarities between the art style of RE4 OG and Devil May Cry, castle-wise. I'm aware that DMC was initially an RE4 prototype variant, and Dante is technically a variant of Leon, or someone called Tony Redgrave. Anyway, it's cool that we got another mostly great franchise out of RE4's lengthy development cycle. I greatly appreciate the gothic horror in the castle. I love how the developers took a brighter approach with gothic horror compared to the full-on dark and gloomy gothic horror approach I've seen in other games. Obligatory Bloodborne needs a sequel or remake comment goes here. Is it just me, or does the military island give Predator 1987 vibes? Maybe I'm delusional, but yeah. I like the art style and layout of the island, but it's very much giving action game where the one-man army guy Leon has to brute force his way through to save the girl. Horror has left the Milky Way at this point. Let's review the whole of RE4 OG's OST. Track 1, End of Umbrella. I like this track as an opener, very moody and atmospheric. It gives mystery and yet resolution, which is perfect for emphasizing the fall of the malicious pharmaceutical company in the RE universe. Track 2, The Drive, First Contact. A certified banger, hood classic, and I know someone has good taste in music if they like this song. Listening to this song again for this review really makes me want to dive into this genre of music. I don't know what it's specifically called, but if anyone knows the genre and has great exemplar songs, please drop that info in the comments. Track 3, Ganado 1. This song nails its context. It brings about the notion that a gamer needs to get ready for very intense action and defense against a creepy enemy. Track 4, A Strange Pasture. This song nails the vibe of what lies beneath the normal facade. The brown motif around the farm being a mask of commonality, but there's a feeling that the brown has witnessed much redder, bloody and darker noir for as long as Los Iluminados has had control over the village. Track 5, Ganado 2. I like this track. Sets the tone very well for chapter 1-2. Track 6, Serenity. A goated save theme. Top 10 for sure. I just adore it so much. When I was playing DMC for the first time, I recognized the musical notes immediately and it took me a few seconds, but I put 2 and 2 together and I got Resident Evil 4. It's the perfect ambient track that calms you down while simultaneously reminding you that you have to go back outside. In other words, fear can't kill you, but you can't kill fear. Track 7, Echo in the Night. Creepy friggin' track. Get me out here. Calling my mum so she can pick me up. Track 8, Ganado Tres. Cool track. Very good musical portrayal of tension and the need for focus and skillful plays from players. Track 9, El Gigante. Great track. Nice thunderous and heavy sounds to echo that of El Gigante's movements, behaviors and attack patterns. Track 10, Vitores Mendes. This track is trying to convey hopelessness and desperate situation. The instrumentation and melodies, so to speak, musically exemplify the fact that the player is locked in a barn with an impossibly difficult monstrosity and the chances of escape are stiflingly low. Track 11, Game Over. An annoying sound to hear when you've heard it over 50 times, probably much more. Sometimes I can still suck at RE4OG, so this track's sound is one I'm very familiar with and not for non-skill issue related reasons. Track 12, Catapult. I hate the catapult section, and hearing this track over and over again made me hate it too. It's not even a bad track, just bad memories associated with it. Next. Track 13, Garrador. Absolutely love the cold breath intro to this track, which I believe is used to hint to the player that sound is a key aspect of combat when it comes to the Garrador enemy type. The overall track seems like the arrangements were placed intentionally, carefully, gently, and mixed in such a way to let players know that they need to move intentionally, carefully, and gently when dealing with Garradors. Track 14, Ganado 4. Water Room track. Absolutely sickening, creepy and horrifying, especially when you combine this track with the gameplay and level design of Waterhall. I don't know what's more horrifying, Waterhall and its OST, or whoever at Capcom came up with the idea to mix such a horrifying room with such a creepy, inducing track. Track 15, Cold Sweat. Another very creepy track, disgustingly ambient and fear intensifying. Track 16, Central Hall. This song is too creepy. It really does give standing in a hall of a creepy castle trying to save the first family's daughter vibes. Track 17, Bad Vibes. Sorry, but this track is so classic Resident Evil coded. Like, it's very much giving Resident Evil 2 OG OST, and I'm here for it. A nice throwback to Leon's past foray. Track 18, Verdugo. If the phrase "you're cooked" had a theme song, one of the top contenders would be this one. Intense curiosity and ferociousness, much like the titular character, Verdugo himself. Track 19, Tower of Death. Love the heavy action vibes from this song. I feel like it could have been used in an action blockbuster for an escape sequence, much like how it is used in the game during chapter 4-4. Track 20, Salazar. I don't know if it's an air guitar or an electric guitar, but those guitar notes in the background are my favourite thing ever. Really cool track. Track 21, Save Theme. I love that the typewriter has its own save theme, just another reason why this game is goated to me. I think Serenity is better atmospherically and vibe-wise, but save theme is still really great and a treat to hear in my ears. Track 22, Infiltration. Despite not loving the island, I think this track is so goated. It's vibey and fits the beginning of 5-1 perfectly. Horror has left the building and it's action espionage's time as CEO. Track 23, Ganado 5. A banger. What more can I say? Oh, I'll say it again. A banger. Next. Track 24, Evil Malaise. It's giving, I'm a creep, I'm a weirdo, what the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here, I don't belong here. I would be singing that in my head or aloud because it fits Leon's predicament on the island perfectly. Wow. Track 25, Regenerator. Really creepy OST. Really reflects the initial encounter with the Regenerator well. As the lab door opens and the monstrosity is strolling towards you, the song intensifies the initial experiences most appropriately. Track 26, Path to Closure. This song is kinda cool, very vibey and works nice as background music. Track 27, Krauser. This track gives another callback to the classic game's OSTs and I love it. Intense, action-oriented, but also screams you need to survive this fight with a bioweapon despite the odds seemingly stacked against you. Track 28, Backup. Army, army, army. This might be the closest I ever get to playing a Call of Duty game. Horror has left the stratosphere and it ain't returning anytime soon with this track, and that's a fact. No need to check that. Track 29, Final Battle. A good track for a final boss fight. It gives End of the World, it gives Last Stand, some strong instrumentation and vocals present here that I truly appreciate. Whoever was in the studio, instrumentalists and vocalists, writers and producers, they cooked and served. Well done. Track 30, The Escape. This track gets me moving and dancing when I hear it. Immediate yes from me. Golden buzzer worthy track, to be honest. Right at the end of the game, it screams, it's now or never vibe. Good track. Track 31, the most beautiful track on this OST besides Serenity, I truly believe. It's a perfect send-off for Leon and Ashley at the end of the game. Such a positive and certain instrumentation to convey that we made it and the player's job is over. Track 32, Sorrow. A great track, I think, to have in the background as the credits roll to invoke heartfelt emotions whilst the credits tell the story of what happened to the villagers before and during their victimization at the hands of Los Iluminados. What a compelling and well-crafted soundtrack for a similarly referred to game. Thank you for making it to the end of my video. I hope it's not too long or not long enough for some of you. I hope I entertained you in some way, made you laugh, made you cry nostalgic tears, or just helped you to kill a little time.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Either way, if you feel so inclined, please hype the video, like the video, and comment and share it, and please subscribe. Thanks again, have a good one, God bless you, and goodbye.